Hello, today we're going to be talking all about how to get your blog out to the world. We've recently just done a 10-day blogging challenge over in my Facebook group, Entrepreneur to EDUpreneur. We challenged everyone to get their knowledge out to the world. Using blog posts is an absolutely fantastic way to really share your expertise and knowledge out there in an evergreen form. What we mean by that basically is if you are producing content whereby over a long period of time people can consistently find you, it's going to be helping you time and time again over a long period of time. If people are going into the internet and they're searching in your name or they're typing in words that relate to content within your blogs, it's your blog, your content, your face and your name that's going to come up. So blogs really are truly to this day a fantastic way to make sure that it's you coming up in search results and not your competitor. So highly recommend doing that, and the whole part of the 10-day challenge was quite simply how many blogs can you produce in 10 days so that you've got yourself a bit of a stockpile of blogs out there. But Sarah, how do I create my blog post? Well, glad you asked. So first of all, I'm just going to show you how I actually manage my blogging, because the organization of this is just as important as the blog writing itself. The first thing you want to be doing is making sure that you're writing blogs on topics that relate to your income generating products or services, because there's no point writing stuff on things that aren't going to earn you money or earn you credibility in the space that you actually are an authority in or want to be seen as an authority in. So make sure that as you're writing down your blog tips and ideas, those are things that people are going to be searching for, that are going to bring them to you, that ultimately leads them on to something that you can help them with, support them with, transform their lives with, whatever product or service you have. So be brainstorming those kinds of topics when it comes to what you're going to write about. The next thing you want to do is really have a clear idea of who it is that you're talking to. Are you talking to businesses? Are you talking to employed people? Are you talking to CEOs? Are you talking to self-employed people? Are you talking to the stay-at-home mum? The way that you write your post titles, the way that you write in your language and your personality when you're writing is also really important. If you haven't truly identified who you're speaking to, then the reader's not going to engage with that content. So once you've kind of got those basics out of the way, then what I do is I actually create a Google sheet where I start listing down all of my blog ideas. And my ideas come from, first of all, what questions are my audience asking? So this could be questions that they come directly to me and ask. They might be questions I see being asked in my Facebook group. And they might be asked in like the wider community in my particular industry. So forums, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, wherever I see these questions being asked, I keep note of them. And if I can answer those questions, that's exactly what I aim to do in my blog articles. So this is another great way of finding content that you can start writing about. If again, you have the answers to people's questions, it's you that's going to get the business, it's you that's going to get the followers and the attention. So I create this big list in a Google Excel sheet or a Google sheet, because on Google you can work from any device. You're not going to lose this. If you're on your mobile phone and an idea springs into your head, you can open Google Sheets from your mobile phone, just as you can from anyone else's computer. So what we do on here is I first of all list down all of my blog ideas on the main left-hand column. And what I then do is I give each blog a number. And this just helps me stay organized, because sometimes the blog titles themselves can change. If you're submitting your articles to magazines, for instance, or guest blogging on other people's sites, you may actually have to change and adapt and edit your blogs depending on the site that you're putting them on. So making sure that you use a number will help you rather than the title of the post, in case that title changes and then you get yourself in all kinds of mess. So if you, for instance, you could create blog number 25 and you might have 25A, B, C and D if you've had to rewrite it 4 different times for 4 different editorials. So that's the first thing I do to keep organized, everything in one place. And when my mood takes me to start writing some blogs, I can go through my list and start writing with the ones that I feel most inspired to write at that particular time. Then what I do is I then create a Google document for every single blog post. So what you'll see on my sheet here is I actually hyperlink these particular blogs back to a sheet where it is being written in draft. So what we're going to do today is I'm actually going to pre-schedule a blog post to be released on my site, and I'm going to show you the whole process today. And it's going to be for one that's recently written. Now you'll see here I've created a hyperlink, and that takes me to the Google document where this blog post is being written out. Now this is good for just staying organized. You don't have multiple versions all over the place. You know you've got one version and that's where it is. But also if you are lucky enough to be able to employ helpers later on, or admin staff to help you share your posts and so on, they can find it too. And this just keeps the whole process organized. Now even if you are just a one-man band starting out on your own, I'd highly recommend you start getting these systems in place today, because as you grow later on, the future you will thank you for this. Believe me, I learned this all the hard way. So again, I have a little structure about how I manage the structure of my blog posts, because what I personally do is I write for maximum exposure. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. In fact, I've got a personal goal to impact 10 million people by 2020. So I write my blog posts with the vision of sending them to magazines and articles and bloggers who have the same readers that I'm targeting. So one of the things I've actually done in the background is I've, over a very long period of time, created a huge list of industry magazines, both online and print, who have the readers that might be interested in my content. And then what I do is I first of all write out what my article headline is. I list what category it's in, because when you submit your articles to these particular magazines, they want to know what category it is. Make it as easy for them as possible. They like to have a quote line. So if they did publish your article, they're going to want to share it on their social media, but they're going to want you to share it on social media too. They're going to want a tweetable quote that will sort of sum up what your particular article is about, and try and make that intriguing and enticing. Make it something that makes people curious and wants to read into the article. Then give them a little teaser. So maybe state with a particular fact or what your stance is or what your viewpoint that you're coming from is. You can shock people, you can make a bold statement, you can give a statistic, and then just in one short sentence summarize what the rest of that article is going to be about, what they're going to find out if they keep reading it. Then have the author, and obviously make sure that your author name does hyperlink back to your own website. Now, should you have a business website or a personal website? Look, there's no right or wrong to this, but my personal preference would be that I would recommend, if you want to become an authority and you want to be known in your industry, then you should also have your own personal name.com. And purely from experience, I figured that this is best because when people invite you to speak on their podcasts, when they want you to write as a blogger, when you're going to write books as an author, when people invite you to speak on their stages at conferences, it's going to be you that they invite, not your business. So it's just really good to have that presence under your particular name. So hyperlink that back to your website. Website visits are good. The more people who visit your site, the more likely it's going to be to come up in search results. Secondly, if you've put in things like Facebook tracking pixels and you've got Google Analytics and things attached to your website in the background, you're going to start collecting really good quantifiable data about who your customers are, who your readers are, how old they are, where they live, what they're interested in. This helps you build up a much better avatar of your customer and enables you to really start building out your blog posts later on to even better suit what it is that they want to read. So, and then of course you put the body text and you go through and write the rest of the blog. How long should a blog post be? Look, again, there's no real right or wrong answer to this, but certain publications have certain rules about the length of the blog post they would like to have submitted. Obviously, if you're putting this on your own site, it's completely up to you. What do your readers want to read? Do they like short, sharp, and sweet, or do they like really nice, long, informative, in-depth reads? Some magazines will specify that they only want 500 words. Some will say, don't mind. Some will say, as long as it's up to no more than 3,000 words. Really, if it's on your site, it comes down to you knowing who your customer are and what it is that they actually want. So pop down the blog post, off you go, and then make sure at the bottom that you actually have some links back to your website, your profile, your social media channels. So again, you want people to have as many opportunities as possible to follow you and to stay connected with you. One of the biggest benefits about guest blogging or being put onto writers in other people's magazines is that you're getting exposure to their whole audience. You are literally getting exposure to sometimes tens, thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people. And you want to use that opportunity for people to be able to connect with you and follow you and potentially, even become your customers. So make sure you've got your social media links in there, and make sure that if you do have some kind of offer, because some magazines do allow you to have a link back to a product or a service, if you've got an online course, if you've got a book, this is a great opportunity to just put a very subtle hyperlink back to that particular product so people know where they can go to buy from you. So this is the blog post I'm going to load into my site. So here's my site. Now, I personally use WordPress. There are lots of different ways that you can blog and host websites out there. That's not what this is about, but I'm explaining this using the WordPress site. And what you simply do is you log into your dashboard area, and you'll see that you have an option called Posts. So you're going to click on Posts, and this will show you, if you already do have any blog posts out there, where they're all going to be listed. But you simply click on the Add New button, and this will give the opportunity to write a new post. Now, there are two ways that you can write and design what your blog post will look like. This editor page here is quite literally where you can write the post. You put in the title, you can put in the body text straight in here, and then you can go over here and just press publish. For your most bog standard blog, that's all you need to do. Done, it's live and out to the world. Okay, so I'm going to paste in my blog post title at the top here, and then I'm going to go back and find my body text. So head on over to my body text over here. Now I've got my quote line. I'll copy that, paste that in there. I'm going to get my teaser. Of course, I'm not going to copy those actual words in there. And by the way, there are plugins that make these tweetable links, and I'm going to go in and do that afterwards. Then I'm going to make a space and pop in my body text over here. And I'm going to keep in all of the about me stuff at the bottom in case people share this, because obviously if we get sharing, we get maximum exposure. So I'm going to paste that all in there. Now what I will do is I'd go in and tidy all of this up. Some of the formatting when you copy this over can go a little bit messy. So I'll go in and make this a little bit tidy. And always make sure I save my draft, first of all. And the couple of things we're going to do next is we're going to create some categories. We're going to put in some tags and keywords, and we're also going to add a cover image, because when you share this blog post on your website, when you share it on your social media channels and so on, you want to make sure that it comes up with that nice preview image as well. So I've actually preset categories in here already. If you haven't got any, you just quite simply press add a new category. And this will be, if people want to look for just a specific type of information about what you do, they can just find blog posts that are related to that particular category. So I'm going to untick uncategorized, and for me this is definitely all about workforce development. It's about course creation, and it's about teaching and training. Okay, so, and then we are going to go down and add some tags. So tags, again, are a bit like the keywords that people might use when they're typing in something into Google to find your particular blog post. So I'm going to just pause this video and type in my tags right now. So for you, make sure you're thinking of what would people type into Google to find this content, and add those words in one by one in your tag section. Right, so I've now put in my tags, I've selected the categories. Now what I want to do is scroll down on the right hand side until I find this box that says featured image. We want to set a featured image for our particular blog post. Now I use a tool called canva.com. It's free, it's really simple to use. I've created for myself quite a simple template that I use for most of my blog covers, so that I only have to change it slightly. So you'll see here I've got one of my old ones. I'm just going to make a copy of an old image here. And I'm going to click on this, and now what I can quite simply do is drag in a new background cover. So you see I've got an old one here. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to grab my article title again, copy that, paste it in here, and this is just because I want all of my blog covers to have a very consistent image and a very consistent feel. So I'm going to find a suitable image for this, and I'm going to come back to you. All right, so I've gone into Canva and I've now created a cover image for my particular blog post. Now, a little thing that I do is I actually just add my web domain in the picture itself, because these pictures actually can come up on their own on the internet. It's up there and out there in the world now. And of course, if people share this, I want to make it as easy as possible for people to know who the source was and where it came from. So I'm going to go back into my post now. And I'm going to go down to set featured image, and all I'm going to do is just quite simply drag and drop that image that I've just created for the particular blog post into my WordPress website here, into the media library area. And I've selected that particular image, and what's important here is over in the title is do try and put the title of the post and your name. Again, you want to make sure that this is searchable. The image itself can be searchable. Like, I don't know if you've ever done like a Google search and you've hit images, and it can bring up images with those search terms. So I'm just going to pop that in there. I've popped in my title and I'm just going to press set featured image, and that will just load up here on the right hand side. So now we know the image is set. We've gone through and done all of our formatting, made sure that we're happy with the way that it's presented. We've put in our categories, we've put in our tags, and we're now ready to publish. So one of the things we can do is just press publish straight away, and that will be live, and we can then go and see that on our website. And then of course we can go and see the blog posts on our website. It will have the URL, and we can go and share that like crazy all over the internet, get loads of readers. But I'm going to personally schedule mine because of the fact that I send mine out to magazines first. What they don't want is they do not want this content published somewhere else. Magazines like to have original content that's not been published anywhere. So what I tend to do is I'll send it out to my list of magazines. Those who pick it up first, they get it. And then I normally wait about 8 to 12 weeks before I then publish it on my particular site, because I want to make sure that they get the glory of having that content published first on their site as a thank you for putting my content in front of their readers. And then of course, once they've published it and it's out on their site, then I can put it on mine. You're allowed to reuse your own stuff unless you've got contracts or anything with any of them, which is quite unlikely. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to schedule the release of my particular post. To do that, we're going to go to where it says publish immediately. You can press edit and select the actual date that you would like this post to go out. So for me personally, I'm going to publish this one at the end of June. When am I going to do that? Let's go to June the 27th at, I don't mind, it says 3:20 in the morning, whatever, that's cool. And then we press OK. And now this is a scheduled post. So that is now done. Now if I go back to my posts over here, and now we can go to preview. So this will now open up this blog on my website so that I can just check how it looks, make sure that everything's presented nicely and the formatting is all good. So I'll just let this load up. And you can see here, it's now loaded. The image is taking its time to load because I have the fastest internet ever in Australia here. But you can see there, that's what the post is going to look like when it's published. So I might go through, do some editing, make sure that all of my links are clickable and that they all work. And if I'm happy with that, great, I'll leave it there. If I'm not, then obviously I can just go back and press edit the post and go back and do some editing. So that is how you get a blog post onto your site, and just a little bit of how I organize and manage everything behind the scenes. Hope that's helped you. Do come and join the Facebook group Entrepreneur to EDUpreneur, and of course check out my online courses, sarahcordiner.com/courses, where you can get access to over 30 of my training courses for just $47. That's a special offer we've got on now, so don't miss that one out. Otherwise, good luck, keep blogging, see you soon.